Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
Feel the shake. Feel the shake. That's right, baby. Let's go. That's a huge win for the Philadelphia Flyers to beat down on the Rangers like that. The Rangers were red hot entering the Wells Fargo Center. They were playing electric hockey, inspired hockey. They went from somewhat out of the playoff race to in the discussion and really close to that wild card spot. So the Rangers were just playing legitimate, sick, really successful hockey as of late until they ran into a beautiful Philadelphia Flyers squad. Now, there's so much that went on in this game. It was a hostile environment. There was some physicality involved. You can see that these two teams hated each other, and that's the beauty of sports. But before we break down this bad boy, not only do we have to talk about my SeatGeek promo code BROADS that saves you $20 off of your total purchase when buying tickets to go to a game, but I'm also handing out a giveaway. That's right, I'm doing a giveaway on my Twitter page at Broads81. If you retweet my pinned tweet to my profile and follow me, I am giving away a pair of Sixers tickets to the Detroit Pistons game. It's in Philadelphia, of course, on March 11th. So make sure you go do that to get yourself an opportunity to win a pair of tickets to the Sixers. All right, so, wow. Unbelievable. It was so much fun to watch this team compete at a high level. It felt like a mini playoff game. It didn't have the exact feeling of a playoff game because those reach a different level, but it was clearly a meaningful tilt between both squads. And for the Flyers to go down early because Panarin sends a filthy pass, and I mean disgusting pass, to Fost, who ends up beating the defenseman, shooting the puck on Carter Hart, and using one hand on his stick to whack it out of midair to make it go 5-hole. That goal was insane. It was so crazy. I tip my cap to Fost for that play, and also Panarin. And Panarin has been red hot. I mean, he has been tearing up this league as of late. You look at his numbers, you look at his points, his goals, his plus minus, his 5-on-5 play. He is the true reason why the Rangers are even in position to attack a wild card spot. It's crazy to see one player be so significant on a hockey team. Now, you can point out Ovechkin, Crosby, players like that, but in comparison to, say, a sport like basketball, it's not as common. One person in basketball dominates the floor, dominates the league. In hockey, it's not that way. So to see Panarin take this team from around 9-8 points out to where they are now, it's just crazy. It is fully on Panarin and the way that he has this team going as a whole. But anyway, so the Flyers are down 1-0 early, and in their home building, where they normally play well, the Rangers had some momentum. They were playing good. I mean, it was as if the Rangers had waves, the Flyers had waves. The Rangers had waves, the Flyers had waves. Before the first period ended, the Flyers got a good wave going. They rode that wave, and they executed as Sean Couturier ends up scoring. He's going backdoor. Now, this was so you can argue a fluky play, but you can argue that Fost's play was a little fluky as well. The puck is going behind the net. It hits a broken stick. Jake Voracek picks it up and hits Sean Couturier. Now, the reason why maybe the Flyers got this goal was because the broken stick that was laying behind the net gave Voracek a little bit of time and stopped the puck for him. But anyway, the Flyers scored, and that's all that matters. 1-0. I'm sorry, 1-1. It was tied at that point. And when you look at Jake Voracek's night, that was his first assist of 4. He had 4 assists total on the night. So he was really playmaking. He was dialed in. What I loved about this game, the top dogs really made it happen. And throughout the last few weeks, it's not that the top dogs didn't produce, but you saw a lot of scoring from the bottom 6. You saw a lot of scoring from the depth guys. When you match up against a New York Rangers team, a rival, when both guys need the points, where both teams are really grabbing at every opportunity to snag points to make sure they solidify themselves in the standings. This was a big boy game, is what I'm getting at. This was a big boy matchup. It wasn't a random game against the Florida Panthers or, you name it, the San Jose Sharks. This was a legitimate NHL battle when it's late in the season, and your top dog stepped up. Jakub Voracek, 4 assists. Sean Couturier, a goal and an assist and doing the little things right. Kevin Hayes, he only had 1 goal, but he had 6 shots on net. He had 3 hits. Claude Giroux, the captain, 2 goals. I mean, it was just special to watch these players perform. So anyway, at the end of the first period, the score was 1-1. I jumped a little bit ahead of myself because I was so excited to talk about the top forwards on this Flyers team. Carter Hart came up big, stopping Panarin backdoor, and he slid over and just had his stick in the right place as he's moving his blocker over as well. Panarin probably scores that goal 9 out of 10 times, but not tonight, and that's all that matters. Carter Hart was spectacular. You look at the amount of shots by the Rangers, and it wasn't overwhelming, but it felt as if they had a lot of good scoring chances, and Carter Hart was magnificent. He stood on his head, and he was an awesome watch. Now, the Flyers play the Rangers on Sunday in New York, an afternoon game, and he doesn't have great numbers on the road, but of course, you throw the kid in between the pipes, because after that performance, let's see if he can build off of it without a doubt. So, Alain Vigneault was actually on 97.5 The Fanatic this week, and Mike Misnelli asked him a couple questions, and one of them was, what's your situation when it comes to the playoffs and the 2 netminders, based off of how good Carter Hart's playing at home and how bad he is on the road? And he didn't say what was going to happen. He said in the past he had Hall of Fame goaltenders like Robert Luongo. He had Henrik Lundqvist in New York, so he had Hall of Fame goaltenders. This year's a little different for him, so he kind of alluded that 2 goaltenders might be in play. And listen, I mean, I'm not opposed to that. This season's success has been because of both goaltenders being very solid. Chris Kreider fractured his foot, was the report by the New York Rangers after the first period, and did not return. So that's a huge blow for that team. Not only for the long run, but also in the game, because now you were down a forward, and not just any forward, a forward that just got a contract extension. There were conversations. Would he be moved at the deadline or not? Are they going to try and re-sign him? They do have some cap issues. Signing Panarin was a big amount of money on the cap hit, so they're trying to figure some things out. They keep him, which I think is a good move for the Rangers. The kid is a legit stud. He's a great player in this league. But losing him for this stretch is very important, and also losing him for this game was important, as you're now down another forward. You got to rock a different rotation with your lineup. You got to move around some pieces and try and get guys going. And just in terms of rests, it's important. So it was a huge loss for the Rangers. Second period, Claude Giroux comes out and he hits the pipe. Oh, man. He came right out of the intermission and he was flying. I thought he was going to put the Flyers on top. He doesn't. There was some interesting calls going on. Phil Myers got called for interference when clearly the Rangers jumped on top of him and pulled him down. The refs were brutal in this game. Not only that occurred, but later in the game when it was all over and the Flyers clearly were going to run away with the victory, Scott Lawton's getting punched in the face multiple times. I mean, legitimately punched in the face. The gloves were on, of course, but somehow he gets called for a penalty. It was just wild. Like, what? And then you see a little kid in the background flipping off the Rangers with his middle fingers up on the glass. And I'm laughing to myself because that was me. That was me when I was younger and my dad had season tickets to the Flyers. I was being brought to the games. I was the little kid. I'm flipping people off, screaming curse words at a young age, going to all the games, and I'm just cracking up like, that is me. That is a young Broads in the making. I actually remember going to a game, and then there was a family behind me that was screaming at my dad for allowing me to do that, and he's like, who are you to tell me how to teach my son? You know what I mean? Who are you to tell me how to raise my child? And then things got all crazy. But anyway, maybe that's why you see the crazy passionate sports fan that I am. You know, my dad was that for the Flyers more than the other teams growing up. So yeah, you can thank him for this podcast, if you will. Getting into that second period, though. So, aube-kubel is coming down the wall. He rips one far pad, if you will, but it didn't go far pad. It went far blocker. The rebound went right to JVR, who was able to execute on the other side of the post. It is 2-1 Flyers. They ran away with it from there. The Flyers did a really good job of getting the lead back after being down 1-0 and running away with the hockey game. And realistically, when you look at how that goal happened, I mean, it's a game of inches. You're looking at the Rangers having a chance on the other end, getting some opportunities. And I talked about the waves and going each way. Well, as soon as that happened, boom, here goes the Flyers on the other end. And after that goal happened, Claude Giroux scored a filthy goal. I mean, he's literally, oh, man, quick release. It's hitting the crossbar. It's hitting the post. It's going in. It was just a sick goal. The Flyers were up 3-1, and if you didn't guess, Jakub Voracek recorded an assist on that one. There was only one goal that Jakub Voracek did not help score, so you have a great chance if you're a betting man to say, well, Jakub Voracek probably had an assist on that goal. The Flyers go into the third period up 3-1. Before the third period actually happens, I forgot about this play. This was actually hilarious. Kevin Hayes and Lemieux were going at it at the end of the second period. The Rangers were frustrated in this tilt. You could see it, stuff after the whistle. Once they got down, they tried to be physical. I wouldn't go as far as dirty, but it was a standard thing to do in a hockey game when you're down, knowing you're going to see that opponent next on Sunday, knowing that the points are so meaningful. If you're losing, you're going to give people extra shoves. You're going to give them a couple extra whacks to say, hey, listen, you might have us tonight, but we're going to see you again in our building. It's just a typical standard thing to do. Well, Kevin Hayes and Lemieux have a little bit of a background, and after Lemieux gave Kevin Hayes a couple hits, he's skating away. Scott Lawton, Travis Konechny, the Flyers bench just feeding Lemieux, chirping so hard, getting up instantly. You can see the disgust on their faces, just going right after Lemieux. And I miss those days back in my prime. That was what I did. I ran my mouth a lot. I was a chirper until I started wearing a half shield and fighting came into play. You know, back when I was playing AAA and things like that, you had the cage on, but I would run my mouth. Once you put the half shield on and you could drop the mitts, Broads toned it back a little bit because you got to start backing up your talk. You can't just be going up to a 6'3" guy and start ripping him apart because he's going to drop the mitts and he's going to feed you. So I had to change my game plan a little bit until I got back into the college game. But once I started playing college hockey and you wear the bubble or the cage again, it's not the same style of play, so it definitely changes. So we go into the third period. The Fly guys are up 3-1. Claude Giroux scores on the power play. He redirects the puck with his skate. It wasn't a kicking motion. It was just the change of the angle. Now, if the Rangers wanted to challenge that, if they got it wrong, it would put the Flyers back on the power play. So that's why they did not challenge it. I think if it was just a loss of a timeout or something, you would say, who cares? Give it a shot. Just see what happens. He didn't kick, though. That's the thing. He was going into the blue paint. He was stopping and his foot redirected the puck in. You can do that as long as he didn't kick. And I mean, I think if the result of it being wrong, if you challenged, wasn't a penalty and it was something else or you didn't lose anything, you give it a shot. But because you don't want to put the Flyers back on the power play, not that their power play is very special, but you don't want to put them back knowing that the Rangers need to win. So that was a 4-1 lead. Kevin Hayes gets a blast from a one-timer opportunity, 5-1, and that was on Georgiev. And first time bringing him up tonight, I think the Rangers are built with this kid, and Carter Hart versus him, it's a really cool story. You got two young netminders, and it's crazy to think about Lundqvist. Lundqvist has always been a Ranger to me. You know, you think about the New York Rangers, you think about Henrik Lundqvist. He's going to be a Hall of Fame guy. He had a Hall of Fame career, and as much as I hate the Rangers, I respect athletes, and he was this close, and I mean this close to winning a Stanley Cup. And I would never root for the Rangers to win a Stanley Cup ever, but for someone like him, when it comes to athletes individually, I like to see the best do it. And I like to see the best win a championship. He was so damn close, and it looks like his time has come as starting goaltender for the Rangers. And it's interesting. I thought maybe a team would make a move for him at the deadline, but what type of team who's in the playoffs need a goalie to that degree? And not really. It's not about the skill level or if he even has the skill level, but it's more about how much money is still paid to him, and the year left, and well, it's a lot to trade for when you look at the cap hit, when you look at the years left, and when you look at the production as well. But, it's so weird to see the Rangers going with another goaltender consistently because time has come and gone for Lundqvist, and it just feels weird. It looks weird. It sounds weird. It should be Lundqvist in between the pipes. You see him sitting on the bench, and it almost, just doesn't feel like it's real life. It feels like it's a dream. He's the netminder. Rangers get a useless one at the end. Whoop-de-doo. 5-2 Flyers win, and it's just so impressive to see this team play the way that they are playing. And when you look at the opponents, you go, wow, how are they going to be able to beat this team? Or look who's coming up next. It's going to be tough. They answer the bell. Now, they're not great on the road. Not as bad as, say, the Sixers are, but they're not great on the road, and they're going to have to go on the road. They're going to have to play the Rangers. They're going to have to play the Capitals. They're going to have to see Carolina. So they have some road games coming up. I don't know now that I say, is the Carolina game? I'm gonna type this in real quick as we do this because I know they play Carolina. I'm just not positive if it's a home game or not. Okay, so that is a home game. So they go. I thought so. I knew when I said it, it felt weird, so I had to look it up. They play the Rangers, then they play the Capitals. Those are 2 road games, and then they come home for Carolina, Buffalo, and Boston before hitting the road to see Tampa again. Of course, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but I can do that when I get excited about sports and Philadelphia sports. One thing before we get to a couple phone calls. The Make-A-Wish Foundation and Blake and what the Flyers did with that, having him practice with the team, having him come out of the tunnel, do the warm-ups, touching, goosebumps. My hairs were sticking up on my arms. I mean, it was just an absolute awesome story. If you didn't catch that, I advise you to check out the Flyers website. I'm sure they have a bunch of things up there on that or on Twitter or anything out there. You need to look at the story. It's just remarkable. Also, Grant. I thought Grant played better for his role. I didn't realize when he came for his first game, he took a red eye. He played that night. It was a rough night for Grant to come in and play his first game with the Flyers. I thought he did a better job playing his role in this hockey game. And same with Nate Thompson. You can see what he brings to the fourth line. Experience. That's what it comes down to. Experience. All right, so I think this would be a really good time to start taking phone calls and hear from you. So, without further ado, let's get things started.
Yo, bros, what's going on? One of the great victory tonight by the Fly guys, and I just want to highlight the performance by the captain, Claude Giroux, as you'd like to put it. 2 goals, showed great leadership the entire game, showed up big time in a game that really mattered. And you've mentioned in Flyers videos in the past that he doesn't really get the respect that he deserves amongst Philadelphia fans or Flyers fans, or even that, or around the league. I mean, in my opinion, he's one of the most underrated athletes in Philadelphia sports history. I mean, he's been going to work for this team, for this city, for over a decade now. And you know what? He's a great player, and a lot of people get on him because he hasn't won a cup. And the thing is, no Flyers captain has won a cup in over 40 years. And in my opinion, he's undoubtedly a top 10 Flyer in history. And in my opinion, I got him top 5 only behind Clark, Perron, Barber, and Howe. So I've always been a fan of the guy, and I feel like he deserves a lot more credit, not just for tonight, but just in general. Take care, bros.
Thank you very much for the call. Now, listen, I'm right there with you. You don't have to try and sell me how good Claude Giroux is. The Flyers not winning a cup during his tenure is more of how brutal the organization was, more so than how bad Claude Giroux was at being a captain. That's such a silly narrative to me. He is so underappreciated. His numbers are ridiculous. He has so many points. He produces at a high level. I don't understand the hate for him. I don't. It's sometimes people get so overblown with it. He's the captain. If they're not winning, it's on him. I'm sorry. That's just not how this works. So you don't have to sell me how great Claude Giroux is, and he truly stepped up in this hockey game, and you could just see it in his eyes, really. He had that killer instinct in his eyes. Even when he hit the post, you could see how disappointed he was with hitting the iron, but guess what? He came back, he responded, his goal was beautiful. Both goals were nice, but the snipe was on another level of beautiful, and he led this team to victory against a Rangers squad who was coming in here on a mission, winning hockey games. They're a good team on the road, too. I mean, they put together some really good road wins, so the Rangers have produced away from Madison Square Garden, but the Wells Fargo Center, a little different. I mean, the way that both of these winter teams play at the Wells Fargo Center, it's on another level.
On Eric Lindros's 47th birthday, God, I'm getting old, we do it again. Another big win against a red-hot Ranger team. Tonight it was definitely the leaders stepping up, the veteran leaders, Couturier, Van Riemsdyk. And for all those that question Claude Giroux's ability anymore, shouldn't be the captain, isn't the leader of this team, I think he shut some people up tonight, including that first goal. And I have to channel my inner Hunter Brody on this one. With his snip, ew. I mean, it was a beautiful shot right under the bar. You know, you can't help but enjoy this. It wasn't that long ago we had the likes of Jordan Wheel, Dale Weiss, and the greatness that was Chris Van de Velde skating on Wells Fargo Center. You can be proud of this team. They keep battling, they keep scrapping, and not only are they winning, they're getting help on the scoreboard, it seems, every night. Let's keep it going Sunday. Let's beat their ass again.
That was an awesome impression, by the way. I think that's pretty similar to how I do it, right? Claude Giroux, when something beautiful happens out there on the ice. And yeah, you naming some of those players when we had to watch some of the brutal third lines and Jordan Wheel second line type players for the Flyers. Wow. I mean, that was some awful hockey that we had to deal with over the last however many years, and it's all flowing together. The team has it. You mentioned the top guys performing, something I discussed earlier in this podcast. The top guys performed. They stepped up. They showed the bottom six players, listen, all right, we'll put you on our back tonight. It's our turn. I mean, it's great how some nights you're going to need your bottom six guys to step up. Without a doubt, some nights you're going to need your defensemen to score points. I mean, that's been something that this Flyers team has done. Every given night, it's somebody different. In this one, when the moment was bigger, where it felt bigger, where the intensity was there and the hostility was involved, you could see that the top six guys reach a different work ethic. And I mean, I'll tell you what, it's every night it's almost as if I get more amazed by this team, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. If they do it in New York on Sunday, I'm going to reach even a higher level of excitement, and that's kind of hard to do because with what I expected them to be this season, I'm already riding a high with Flyers hockey.
What a win that was. Such a big win, of course, this time of year. All the wins are important, but something special is going on with this club, the Wells Fargo Center. Claude Giroux, what else can I say about him? I mean, 13 points in the last 10 games. That's incredible. Strip the C. I laugh at people that say strip the C. Let me tell you. It's unbelievable. They're just doing everything right, the things right. They're doing the little things. They're doing the big things. I can't wait for the playoffs because they really have a chance to make something happen, but it's going to be really exciting. Thanks for taking call, Birds, and have a great evening.
How about that? Are we getting just Claude Giroux love tonight? I couldn't tell you the last time that anyone Flyers hockey was giving Claude Giroux love consistently, as we just heard. And I'm here for it. I mean, I guess technically I have been doing that. I'm sure there are people. Well, let's take that back a step, all right? There have been people who know that the reason the Flyers have been awful had nothing really to do with Claude Giroux's performance and being the captain. But to hear people discuss how great Claude Giroux was in this game, how great he's been over the last handful of games. I mean, you mentioned how many points he has in the last 10 games. It's great. To hear consistent calls on Claude Giroux, oh my God, talk about dreaming. I might be dreaming right now. I might be dreaming with this Flyers hockey season. All I'm saying is, I believe before the season started, I quote tweeted a Flyers tweet and said, Stanley Cup champions 2020. Of course, I was, being sarcastic, being funny, had people in the comments ripping me apart. Oh, I got to go back and dig that bad boy up because I know it's there. And when we're partying down Broad Street, okay, I'm not actually going to do this right now. This is the perfect time to end this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, and I will see you next time.